Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL.
Okay, welcome to another Fireside Chat. This Walsh. Today I am pleased to be joined by the one and only LR Lateriser, Perennial. How you doing, dog?
Doing good, man. I look forward to our yearly catch-up now if this becomes a thing. It's nice. It's nice chatting FPL with you. It's funny.
Go ahead.
Like, initially, I know you, right? Like, from the FFS days and from the Nirvana days. But, like, during the season, I'm more in touch with Alon than I'm with you. And this has, like, become, like, a yearly thing for us in terms of, like, catching up.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other digitally for like a decade almost. And yeah, you know, I kind of switch off during the season in terms of individual communique, but during the preseason, I'm a little bit more opened up. And yeah, I love having this like traditional annual summit with you before game week 1, sort of see where we're at. And I'm so happy that you're, you know, super generous with your time and coming on, and you appreciate it. So
I'm a fanboy, man. This is the pod I listen to every week. I've listened to all your episodes this season, preseason as well. So like for me, I'm just talking to people who are podding.
Yeah, we're just two buds chatting, right? That's what it's all about.
Yep.
So what do you want to talk about? You have anything you want to kick off with, or you just want to talk about Manchester United for an hour and a half?
No, I don't want to talk about Manchester United.
This is Manchester United Football Club.
No, we're not going to talk about this. Is Manchester United. But I do wait for like when we're good, because obviously I'm a United fan, right? And United do get a lot of grief on this podcast. So I'm just waiting for when we're good, and then I want to just stick it in Alon's face and your face, and then it's going to be a lot more fun then. But until then, I'm just going to stay quiet because we're not too good at the moment. So we'll leave that for later.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like anyone, so we just call it how we see it, right? I mean, I think we're pretty equal opportunist cynics, maybe a little bit extra with Man U, but you have more. Yeah, United. You get extra because you're fucking scumbags, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always some diabolical Greenwood, like there's always some diabolical, disgusting thing that's associated with your club, it seems like, since I've been following the Premier League anyway.
And if I'm blatantly honest, like, I hate some of the Man United fans too. So I don't blame you all for like feeling the way you do. So it is what it is. We just got to do it. But there are some of us that are pretty decent as well. So
yes, of course. Of course.
But I thought a good place to start. I think you and I both had very decent second half of the season in terms of I don't know if like the pressure was off or if we weren't trying too hard or what. Like you climbed. And you were playing your own little game without the Haaland captaincy or captaining the non-popular guy. And I also had a rubbish start, and then I had a decent end as well. But why do you think that happened? Like, is there something to take from that in terms of play style?
For me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been going through this kind of like unusual trajectory this preseason, which I'm trying to do something different than I normally do. But yeah, I think I do fall susceptible to, you know, trying to be on the template game week 1 when, you know, I don't really know how to succeed that way. I never have. I've never had a good season when I've been hovering in and around the template, really, you know, ever since I started playing. So, you know, I do feel like, you know, we talked, and I'm more suggestive before game week 1, I think, where I'm just like, okay, everyone's even, like, why not me? I can do this. I'll do the smart thing, you know, air quotes, smart thing. And then I just take hits early because I want to get Chilwell because he has one good game, like a fucking psychopath that I am. And then I just nosedive when everyone else just doesn't do that, you know? So, so I think those are some factors that work against me. But I also just, you know, I don't know. You know, I mean, those are, I think, just some things that come to the tip of my tongue that I've kind of been trying to self-assess. So like this, go ahead.
But like, all right, so that's figuring what maybe went wrong. But like, maybe the right thing to do is focusing on what went right second half of the season. Like, is there anything we can take from that?
I don't think so. Like, I think that those, I mean, look, I went against the grain, repeatedly, and then it eventually, and I also feel like captaining Haaland less, like really kind of crystallizing that and, really looking at him as strictly a flat track bully is going to be an edge, because people are still going to captain him against like at Newcastle or something, right? Or they're like, oh, it's not that good of a fixture, and then I'll get, 2 points, 5 points. So I'm definitely going to be doing that more. But other than that, I think it's too contextual to the specific season to take some type of heuristic away from that of like, oh, do this, instead of that, as like a rule. But I'm probably missing things. I mean, you're as an outside observer, did you draw and have any draws from that?
So not as much as from your season, but I do feel like there was because even I had a decent second half. So I felt like there was a much more sort of relaxed, chilled out vibe about playing the game. Like there was some sort of, okay, we know what we're doing, and we weren't really trying too hard in a weird sort of way, where like if there was an obvious thing to do, we did the obvious thing. If there was a clear differential or a macro play style that emerged in the second half of the season, we did that. Like Palace was obvious, you went there. Like things like that, maybe not trying too hard is the way. If things are obvious, do it. And if things are not obvious, question it, and don't necessarily need to be different for the sake of being different. I think that's all. Just like relax and play and not try too hard, maybe.
But even that is like, what's the obvious thing? Get the template, right? Like I should do that. So it is still, I think you have to apply it a little bit more specifically, but it's also, I think, when we watch, like, you and I, we watch a lot of games, as we get some more information 7-8 games in, and we have a better scope of, we like this defense, we like this attack, we like these types of fixtures for this team, or, I feel like are more willing to push more chips in rather than diversifying and playing it like, well, let me just still sprinkle around even though I like this, And that, I think is an advantage for, maybe like you and I that, to the herd of sheep that maybe don't do that.
Yeah. And I think the key is probably to realize you don't need to diversify. Like we were doing our season review and I was talking to Pras and Zoff. And even if you're like, if they have a season that's like 60 or 70 points better than me, like when you break it down, it's 10 points more in defense, 10 points more in midfield, 20 points more in forward, and 10 points more in captaincy. It's actually the smaller margins that sort of like tend to show up. And if I remember like the seasons I did well, I was trying to shortcut my way through these smaller margins by playing the insured captaincy game where if Haaland's popular and it's not the right game to captain him, you own him, but you captain somebody else. So that sort of like the damage is 1x, but the gain if you hit is like 2x, like maybe something like that. Yeah. So it's
a mix, we've been doing that for a while.
Exactly.
But it's also when you look at it and you're like, oh, you guys had a way better season than me, and then you look at they got 60 more points. What is that actually? That's probably 5 coin flips that they won more than you. Right. I mean, they got this 4 or 5 defender instead of this other one, and he got them 12 extra points. They captained this midfielder instead of that one, and they got 11 extra points. You just have to hit those little things also and get lucky. I mean, we know that there's a lot of luck in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like it's almost better to compare to your own process. Like, just maybe look back and say, here is when I actually screwed up, and here is when I did the right thing. Like, because your playstyle is different to person B and C, right? So like in your own process, what could you have done that's better? Maybe that could have worked.
I mean, one thing I did do, and me and Alon haven't touched base on this, but I did listen back to me and Alon's postmortem, and we always say like, oh, we have to do it, and I don't think I ever have. Like I'm just like, I want to black it out, but I actually did, and it was like I was having like these such a bizarre I have to be honest, I mean, when we started podding, I routinely listened back to our episodes because I wanted to hear, like, how does it sound? What's working? What's not when we were trying. I don't think I've listened back to an episode that Alon and I have done in 3 years since this one. I always listen to the ones that Alon does with someone else. If he's interviewing someone, I listen to those every time because they're so good. But listening to me from a few months ago, basically yelling at me now. I felt like it was like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, stop yelling at me, bro. and I wrote down like the things and I made 9 changes to my draft. And I'm like, oh, this is just obviously what I'm going to be doing now this year. And I feel so good.
Can we dive into those things? Because even exactly what you did is what I did. Like we also did like a postmortem, and I also, before I consumed any content, when the game launched, the first thing I did was, okay, you know what? Let me watch that as well. And I also wrote down a few things. So what are the things you wrote? I think that might be just a good place to start.
Yeah. And this is going to take it away a little bit from Alon and but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No, we'll do them all. I mean, fuck Alon. He's not here. He's not watching. So basically, they're just like these non-negotiables that I kind of extracted from my notes and Alon and I, my conversation. So first one is 8th attacker. Like the draft I had before I listened back was obviously 4-5 mid, 4-5 4th defender, 4-0 5th defender, and no second goalkeeper. And I'm just looking at my team like, oh yeah, I have to get an extra 0.5 to upgrade, this 7.5 to this 8.5 guy, or I have to get the extra million. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I do this every year and it's never good. It never works. And so the 8th attacker, having that, I'm having that. Like, I'm having an 8th player who I'm not sure if I'm going to really have like a rotation with my 7th and 8th attacker yet. Like, those 2 spots are flexible right now, but I'm definitely going to have an 8th attacker who I would basically be happy enough to start if one of my guys gets injured, so I don't have to use an emergency move. Like, I don't want to be put in that position again, because that's where I feel like in the first few game weeks, like, I get so fucked.
But like, just a random thought while you're saying this is that the notes that you wrote down, the things that you told yourself, is there any adjusting required because the goalposts have shifted in terms of the pricing is in front of us, A, and B, the 5 sub rule in terms of, does that change anything in terms of maybe having some, in fact, it maybe enforces that an 8th attacker because then you can roll a little more and you're not panicking into moves maybe.
Yeah, I think that's just like a happy coincidence that this strategy does get aided by the extra transfers. But basically, no, I don't think the pricing really does matter because it's still the same principle of not wanting to be rushed into using a move, because your mid-priced midfielder gets injured or is touch and go because he's on Newcastle and you don't know who Edward's going to play or whatever, right? Where you can just be like, whatever, if this, my 8th guy comes off the bench, it's fine. It's not Harry Winks, where I'm automatically getting 1 point and I'm just playing with 10 men this week kind of thing, and that 0.5 to me, or even if it's a 5-5 guy, if it's Kamada, whoever, you're just putting that back in. Like, I told myself this, I like it still, I need to do this. So, that was the first like biggest thing that I took out. Are you on board with that, or are you like, nah, fuck that? Like, I'm going 4-0, 4-0, 4-5. Like, I don't care.
I've got 4-0, 4-0, 4-5 at the moment.
You do. You're a fucking savage.
Yeah.
All right.
But like the thinking is that in my head, I feel like I need to last for 4 or 5 weeks because I'm going to wildcard them. And then when I wildcard early, because I'm expecting to wildcard game week 4, 6, 7. And if I'm doing well, I won't, but I'm expecting to wildcard early because I feel like there's a weird notion in my head that because people have 5 free transfers, the people that start off really well, which means that they've stumbled upon a good game week 1 team, they're going to just chill. And the gap might just become bigger and catching up might just be a little more difficult. So I'm like, I want to play aggressive because I feel like the value of the wildcard, sort of saving the wildcard until a little later has gone down because once you hit a little more stable team, you can just sort of chill and roll. And I feel like I want to wildcard early. That's when I want to get the 8th attacker in place because I want to have a stable team after the wildcard. Until then, fuck it. If nothing, I'll wildcard early. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Like that's for me. Like I don't like playing that way. Like I don't like planning for a wild card or like dead ending or because that's when I get in trouble. I like just like forget I'll use the wild card when I need to. I'm not even looking at fixture swing. Like I don't do that. It's just like it's there. If this goes tits up, I'll do it game week 3. And if not, but that's fair. You're obviously what you're doing. That's a very reasonable approach. We'll see.
What else? What's thing
next
2?
one? Porro straight in the team. Didn't even consider him until I listened back to the postmortem. Most nailed player in my defense, along with Munoz. Just everything I was talking about. And then Alon came in too and was saying, like, I was kind of like, 4 or 5 rotating, play these home shitters. And Alon was like, well, actually, having 3 set and forgets pretty good to limit your transfers in defense. And I usually do spend too many transfers in defense. So Porro just, I was just capitulate. Like he's out of position. Don't overthink it. They might keep 8 cleans again. I don't care. He takes some corners. Just fucking put him in. Like don't, even though I think he kind of sucks. So that was like a big shift because he was literally in 0 tinkers. And then now he's an immovable object in my team. And it was exactly what we talked about in the postmortem was talking about Purvis, game week 1 last year. And I said, like, Purvis this year is going to be Porro. Like, if they have a couple really easy fixtures, he's going to be in all the teams. And he's in, like, no teams on the Discord. And he's, like, 30% owned or something in the game. And I'm just like, oh, like, this is us doing the thing that we're too smart for Pedro Porro, 5-5. Like, oh, I'll just get Gvardiol. And I'm just like, no, like, it's Porro. He's got attacking threat, 11 returns, fitness monster. So, yeah, Porro's in for me.
And that helps because you're not looking at like a wildcard horizon, right? You're like you'll change things up when things screw up. But Newcastle and Arsenal game week 3 and 4 for somebody like me who's looking to maybe play aggressively and wildcard early. I'm like, no, I'm just looking at somebody who's got good first 5, and I'm doing the same thing in terms of having 3 perma plays and 2 4.0s. I've got either Gvardiol or Trent, Munoz, and right now it's Matson. So your Porro is my Matson. Literally just that, because I'm looking at like that fixture window. That's about it.
Yeah.
So
the attacking, there's a change of the bonus point. Are you seeing that similarly where like having attacking defenders is more valuable than ever?
Yeah. And even more so, the clean sheets and the clean sheets are actually a greater currency maybe now than the attacking defenders, because earlier Trent and Porro, like you guys discussed, right, got away with conceding 2 goals, getting an assist, and that meant a bonus, 2 bonus, or 3 bonus. That might not
6
be the
points.
case now. Yeah. So like the clean sheet probably is a greater currency at the moment as things stand. But it's not like just the good defenders get dragged down in bonus. The bad defenders too. So bad defenders become worse and the good defenders become worse. So when you're sort of comparing, both become worse. So the good defenders are still the better defenders are still the good defenders. So it doesn't mean you need to spend less in defense necessarily. I don't think that computes as something I take away from that.
Yeah, I hear that. That makes sense. Makes sense. So you're looking at spending a pretty good amount in defense if you have Trent
or Guard, one of the two, based on how much I want to spend in attack. Munoz and Matson, and then 2 4.0s at the moment. That's my current setup.
Yeah.
3 perma plays.
Seems good. Munoz. You're with me on Munoz.
Nailed on. Love that he didn't score. Love that he didn't score a goal last year. Blew my mind that he didn't score a goal last year, but like it because he was
saving them for the Copa.
Yeah, he's saving them for the Copa, and he's saving them for game week 1, 4, and 5.
He saved the goals and the red cards for Copa.
Yeah.
But
do you think with Olise going, is there a chance? Like a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. Is there a chance that how Glasner uses him changes, or does the fact that he joins your camp late matter? Because it's Klein who's next in line, right? So Klein's rubbish. So
there is really no next in line there. Next in line is we play differently because, Munoz does so much and there's no one on the team that profiles as him. I mean, the closest profile is probably Schlupp, and he's left-footed, so he can't play on the right. I think that Sarr is very similar. Ismaila Sarr, who we just brought in, is very similar profile-wise to Olise. He's just a lot worse, But he does a lot of the same things, is fast. But the thing with Munoz that is, I can't stop raving about him is he has everything where he can overlap, he can underlap, he can take players on, he can make the progressive pass into the box, he can go to the byline, he can make the back post run if the ball's on the left side, he can join as a striker. He joins on the counter attack. He plays forward. He's not even out of position. He's double out of position. He plays forward. So even if Kamada is playing on the right and he's going to want to be inside and be on the ball a little bit more, Munoz is just going to find the space. His motor and engine is, better than anyone on the pitch every game he plays. And he's a psycho. He's a savage. He's insane. And he's just unbelievable. So I don't really think it matters who's playing as long as he's fit. He's going to be doing all this shit. Like, he's just unleashed. Glasner just basically, I think, tells him, like, go run for 90 minutes and do whatever you think is going to be the best thing to do and join in attacks as much as possible. And like, that's what he does. And he has a little protection, when he goes up, but he's just insane. He's so good.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Like yesterday, you're sort of thinking about FPL in the background all the time. And I was like, this 2 weeks left to the game, and we're going to be presented with a fuckload of information until we hit the 16th or 17th. And I feel like that might cloud our judgment a little. So I wanted to just talk to myself and tell myself, who are the 5 or 6 that are sort of nailed or certain in your team at the moment? And I sort of like had those non-negotiables set in my head where I don't want to tinker too much with these picks. I'm happy with them. That's where I'm going to go.
Which ones are they? Reveal.
Munoz. Yeah. 1 premium defender. I'll decide whether I want to go Trent or Gvardiol.
And it's between the two of them?
Between the two of them, not an Arsenal defender. Yep. Eze.
Yep.
Isak.
Yep.
Holland.
Yep.
That's right. Yep. And a 4.5 keeper.
A 4.5. Yeah, that is tough. Yeah. I want to talk about keeper at some point today with you.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that now since
if I can
the best
help
position.
Mo. Like, I want to go with Mo and Hunt.
I you want Trent? You want all this shit? All right.
It's possible.
What are you looking at for a keeper? Where's your head been around there? There's like so many options. My team, Hendo? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Your team, or if we find out who the starting Forest keeper is, probably one of those two. That's where
Miguel. Yeah. I mean, they have the fixtures if you're looking at that first, early wildcard kind of window, but I still just have a hard time wrapping my head around NFO and Nuno and the underlyings. I just still don't believe them. I don't know. They just seem like good fixtures don't matter. They're going to just fucking concede a goal like every game. I don't know.
And the keeper's shit. Like literally shit. Like actually, if you think about Nuno, right? I was looking at some data, and Forest were best 5 in the league in terms of XG per shot conceded. And with them was Everton and West Ham, which is what you like, right? Yep. Low XG per shot conceded, high volume of shots means more saves for the keeper. But the keepers were the worst by a distance in the league for XG prevented. So like they just need a good keeper. And then we're sort of there. But until then, it's just the guys that play for you in midfield and in defense that have me pretty confident. Like I like the players playing in your midfield. Yeah, I like the. What's up with Gay though? Like the Murmurs today does that.
Newcastle. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was a dead certainty to go this summer, and I thought the Riyadi transfer early was the biggest signal of that. But we do have him under contract for a few more years. I think it's really just about we have a good relationship with him. And, we are not the kind of club that gets in players' ways, except for maybe with Zaha, but he's a little bit of a crazy person himself. But if he wants to go, we're going to honor that. He's been a really good servant to the club and good player. But, I'd be very happy for, getting a fee, seeing him move up to another club. I thought he would go better than Newcastle, but, we'll have to see there.
You guys are becoming like the Dortmund of England in terms of like stockpiling on good young talent and then being respectable to them in terms of letting them go.
Yeah, we're just friendly mates playing PL kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's really nice the trajectory that we're going for sure. We're changing, I don't know, the SAR signing was a little bit unusual to me, but we also, we have some kids too that, I don't know, I was hoping Rexec, I don't know, there's a lot of Palace stuff going on, but, so you're looking at, and Miguel, I've never fucking seen him play before, so he can't be worse than like Matt Turner. That would take some doing. You or I are probably better than Matt Turner.
We just need to know if he's first choice, that's about it. Is Hendo first choice?
He's played all the games so far, John Stone's just been on the bench.
All right, so that looks fairly chilled.
Yeah, I think John Stone's strictly better, but we spent a lot of money on Henderson, and he was good when he came in at the end of last season when John Stone was hurt. And, he's been fit this preseason. I don't think he's played a minute. So I feel like Henderson might have just kind of won Glasner's trust. Maybe he likes a little bit of what he does more. Like things that I would never know about goalkeeping. But yeah, at this time, I would say it has to be Henderson just based on the preseason minutes, really,
And you've got West Ham and Leicester at home in the first four. Like you just like those as clean sheet fixtures, irrespective. Like it's a good shot. So not overthinking. Sure. I feel like I'll go with your team.
Okay, Johnstone, Munoz, double.
You've got like non-negotiables at the moment. Have you set on certain players who are not going to move when we're here August 16th?
Yeah, I do. I have I think a lot. I think I'm almost done. It's really like the fringes and the edges that I'm not sure about. One non-negotiable who also wasn't in my team is Odegaard. Like back to the postmortem is just like, put him in the team. And I couldn't fit him in because I was trying to be, like Saka, Pens, but I was just like, fucking, that's all so dumb. Like I want him, I like him, and so he's in 1,000,000% net. Like no Pens, 8-5. Like, oh, look, Bruno's on Pens. I was like, I don't care about all this shit. Like I love the guy, love the player, want to have him. He's in, definitely in. So that was another postmortem, and also partially to answer your question. So yeah, it's him. Munoz has been he's the only player I think since the game opened, him and Eze, that haven't left a draft. Munoz and Eze, Odegaard, Porro, Porro automatic, goalkeeper no clue. Matson's close. I could go away from him. I'm not sure. I'm worried. I know they have a preseason game tomorrow, and then they have their last one. I think they play Dortmund the last one next week. I just want to see him starting. He hasn't started a single preseason game yet. I don't know why. And the 4-5, the other defenders, I'm not sure. Probably a 6-5 mid, not sure yet. Isak,
that's
Holland.
Like 4 or 5 players like me that you're sure of, pretty much. Like it's
I'm not
a lot of them.
I'm not done.
All right.
Holland, Otto.
Like I heard not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Holland, Otto, Isak, Otto, Gordon, as close as it can come to Otto. Ollie, probably Otto. I think I'm there with the big front three.
Oof,
and then
nice.
I think Rodgers is in for me. I think he's going to be my 5th guy. That could change. So it's really keeper. What's up?
He's an 8th guy. He's the 8th guy.
8th guy. So, I would have a 6-5 midfielder and Rodgers, or I could do 2 5-5s. I'm not sure on those 2 spots. The 6-5 mid's tough because I like Diaby the most, and I have 3 Villa. I can't have 4. So, and I'm not going to put 3 fucking eggs in the basket. As much as that's not a thing, I just can't do that. So, I don't think Diaby's going to probably make it because of Rodgers.
Not Diaby. Diaby's
I'm sorry. I keep saying Diaby. Yeah. Bailey. Yes, thank you. Bailey.
This interjects with like one of the things I wrote, like that works really well. All the names that you mentioned, there's no doubts about them when it comes to minutes. Yes. I feel like I tend to fall into that trap a lot. And there's a lot of points that get made in the last 20 minutes or the 45 minutes of a game that your player's sort of not playing. And you guys did the mid-price point, and you guys were talking about Doku. And like that's the first thing that came to my head. I'm like, minutes. When's he going to play? Would you be surprised if he doesn't start game week 1 because Jack is doing bits in preseason? Like, minutes, trap. And like this, they might seem exciting, and I'm privy to that too. And that's why, because we're like, oh, everybody's not going to own them. They don't know he's going to start. He's really good. We know that because we've identified the talent. But if you're questioning his minutes, I feel like the player's not a pick. And that's something I want to like drill into my head. That's why like even Odegaard, all of these guys are clear first choice, probably going to play 80 plus minutes for their teams. And I think just over a season, that shit adds up.
Yeah.
Convincing. Like
I mean, except for Rodgers. Very, very questionable. But no, I mean, Doku's, we're going to fetishize and, jerk each other off about someone like Doku. And he hasn't been in one of my tinkers, But it's also just, we're talking about the best case scenarios kind of thing too, where we, what is the spike? He's 180 points this year. Yes, so
it's sort of like keep an eye on this guy. If he first choice, we'll go there, but like keep a strong guy. Like that's the thing. Like I think you have to wait for a player to become first choice. But I feel like, so I still want to indulge, right? Like there's a world in which Diogo Jota becomes the starting striker, game week 1, 2, 3 for Liverpool. Like I feel like if you want to indulge in such a punt, then you have to fill your other spots up with nailed guys, because there can't be too much indulgence. Like that's the sort of balance that I'm sort of trying to make sure. Because I think people like Jota are worth it. Because 2 or 3 weeks, one brace might be enough for something like that. What are your thoughts there? Like, am I just convincing myself, or is there a place or two in your team for a punt like this, which is dicey on minutes?
Well, there's a few things. I think you're in a little bit of a halfway house if you're committing to an early wild card by thinking like, well, I can only do this like one time, because you're essentially looking at that from everybody. You're only looking for a few weeks from everybody in the team. So having Jota and then not having Minta and picking, Gibbs, MGW, or someone who you're like, oh no, at least they'll play. I don't know. I mean, one is not related to the other necessarily. And if the time for you, I would say, is game week 1 when you're like, I'm gonna like a wild card game week 3. So if your Jota punt fails and I don't know who else fits this category off the top of my head. Whoever else, minutes
but nobody
wise.
Else convinced. Nobody else is Jota. He's the only one that's got that ceiling in my head.
Yeah, that's fair. So, you can, I mean, maybe it's like, Brennan Johnson is a little bit like this, or it's like he could just not start any game. He has good numbers, and they have good fixtures game week 1 and 2, and he could just be one of the worst picks in the game, but for the first, I don't know, you can look at those kind of things, but I don't think that they should be mutually exclusive, unless if you're building your team for 8+ weeks, then yes, if you have these picks littered all over the place in all 3 position spots, defense, midfield, forward, then you're just going to be taking hits, because you're not going to hit on these 25%ers repeatedly, right?
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what if to quantify this, you're telling me that don't percentage this early on. Just go with what you feel, and then strap yourself in when you wildcard. That's about it.
Easy. And I mean, Jota's, I don't think he's even remotely close to being a pick, but we're different. You see something different. The tea leaves are different. Give him a start. Yeah, Doku's the worst pick, but Jota's the best pick. That's where you're coming from.
That's where I'm coming from. So I've got so I'll tell you where the thought process is. Like there's a 7.5 million midfield spot in my team at the moment, and there's a 6.5 million midfield spot. So the 7.5 is like Jota / Gordon, and the 6.5 is Nkuku / PJ. So I feel like it's almost like Jota plus Nkuku or Gordon plus PJ. Like I can't be going Jota plus PJ. Like that might be sort of
I don't
too
agree.
much. Like that's
I don't agree.
that's what you told me. Yeah. That's
yeah.
the thing.
His hair, though. His hair. Gordon, man. Yeah. I like Gordon.
He's legit, and he's got the fixtures.
He has the fixtures. I feel like he just has a level too. This is not the finished article. Yeah. And he seemed to, whatever Edward said, but I mean, he was kind of playing hurt all year last year. And so I think that 7-5, he's probably going to be in for me. I would be hard pressed to see him not making it. Mbeumo's been the one that's been really. Go ahead. Sorry.
Another gear. Do you feel like Gordon's? I feel like he does. Like
I definitely think he has more goals in him.
Yeah, like he's got like 12, 13, 14, 15 goals in him, I think, possibly. Because he tends to be in the center of the box a lot. So, yeah. Are you worried at all about, like, just with relation to Gordon? Like, Barnes has a lot more preseason minutes in him. Are you worried about something like that with all these guys coming in late at the start of the season? Does that bother you? Like, no. I wonder about it.
No. Not someone like Gordon. It bothers me when it's someone like Darwin, where we don't know anything, and they have 3-4 strikers. Is he going to play 60? Is he going to play 45? Is he going to start? I have no fucking clue. So, like, in those situations, it bothers me. But when you're talking about best or second best player on the team, knows the system, nothing different. He's not going to be, on a Ibiza, like, taking acid like maybe Jack would. Yeah. So he's going to just come back and walk right in, I think. I'm not worried. I mean, maybe he gets subbed like the first game or the second game, like on 80 when it's taken care of. But, so I mean, not with Gordon. No, I'm not worried.
All right. Cool.
Gordon. Yeah.
You were talking about something that I cut you off.
Mbeumo. Mbeumo was one that hadn't moved in my team for a really long time until the Thiago injury. And it seems now, like, because one of the postmortem things was like, as long as Toney goes, like, Mbeumo's the most automatic, no-brainer, obvious thing in the world. And, every day that it seems like no one's going to give them any money for Toney, begrudgingly, he's not in my team. That is the one thing where I could see the piss hair spot being taken away, is if Toney goes in the next week or two, where I turn him to Mbeumo. That's really the only thing I could imagine happening.
Do you think Mbeumo's better than piss hair, though?
Yeah. For FPL, so? I do. You think because I mean, what
the free goals?
Five-ish free goals. Plays the same position. I mean, they're both kind of strikers-ish. And he's on all set pieces. Like, I mean, Gordon takes some, but Tripsa takes a lot of them too. And I also similarly think like Mbeumo has levels that we haven't seen yet. So, yeah, I just think he's better.
Liverpool and City away in the second and the fourth week.
Like, I don't care, man.
I don't care about those fixtures.
No, I don't. I mean, they're just still counterattacking fixtures. Like, I'm not. Like a couple games, like those are the kind of things that I will look back on at game week 5. And I was like, why did I use these 2 fixtures to make this decision? And, those are like reasons not to own, when I'm just like back to what I said is like, this isn't a check the fixtures thing. This is he's one of the best picks in the game thing. Mbeumo. Yeah. I mean, he got 9 and 7 last year and 1,000 minutes left on the table. I mean, to me, this is, he's going to be closer to like a 15 kind of player. And like, I expect that. And with Gordon, I'm like, that would be my hope,
It's secondary whether I agree with you or don't agree with you. But like, my eyes are set on the first 5 games only. Like, that's the difference in terms of how I'm viewing it. Because I'm like, I want a wildcard early, so he's got 2 tough fixtures. I want somebody. I feel like Gordon has a better first 5. That's the only reason why I've not considered Mbeumo at the moment. He could. If Toney goes, he goes up in my perception. If you look at the first 3, he's got a great first 3. Not a great first 3, but a good first 3 because he plays your team in game week 1. So it's not great.
Game week 1 is big toss up, though. I mean, there are 3 threes in game week 1 all the time, but yeah. So that was another one with Mbeumo that's kind of just like annoyed me because I wanted to have him, and I don't know. And then Trent, like, huge question mark. I mean, we were kind of speculating that he would be 7.5, and he's 7, which is really as low as you could possibly imagine. But I still just like I just haven't really been able to make the money work, having Haaland, and I do like having Watkins. You know, I mean, I kind of came full circle with Watkins in terms of, like last year he's 8.5. You know, I mean, he was 8 last year. I mean, he's not even expensive,
and very likely on pens.
Maybe on pens.
Potentially on pens, yeah.
Potentially on pens. I mean, if you give him the 5, I mean, and they win a lot of pens. I mean, if you give him the 5-ish free goals, I mean, he's in every team. You know, he's the best forward in the game easily. He's better than Isak. Yeah. You know what I mean? If he has pens, right? So I don't want to. I just was like, fuck, like just, you know, and that seems to be the money I would need to get Trent is to go down to a cheaper third forward, which I don't really want to do. So,
like that's the one piece of information
make it.
That's going to rock my world in the next 2 weeks. Like I feel I have to adjust and make sure Watkins is in my team and join you on the big front three. If he is on pens, then he becomes automatic. Like then you have to think about.
He's also 55% owned.
And he fucked my season last year. He fully ruined me. Like I didn't.
That's the other thing. Even if he doesn't have pens, like the Arsenal game week 2 thing's not great, but Leicester, Everton, Wolves, Ipswich, Man United, Fulham, it's like, what am I going to just like not have him for those? That doesn't seem smart. You know, I'm just like, that's a disaster for me in the future. So I'm just like, I got to just do this. I know I like some of these, like Munoz is great. Like, value, good. It's like these on fucking Fulham and they could not score against anyone. You know, so I'm just like, this is money worth spending kind of thing. So that's been the Trent compromise.
That's one of the reasons why I'm having 4-0, 4-0, 4-5 because there's a world in which I want Watkins game week 3 before Leicester, Everton, Wolves, and that sort of opens up. That's also the reason for having Shaw.
Let me just add, what's the world where you don't want him game week 3, barring he gets injured? He blanks game week 1 and game week 2.
So I've got Haaland, Isak, and Munoz at the moment, right?
Sure.
The world in which I don't want him game week 3 is if Munoz continues at the trajectory that he did at the end of last season and offers solid value at 6 million. Because the way I see it is probably the compromise I'll need to get Watkins in is probably going to be Mo. And Mo is a decent captaincy option in the first 5 in 3 or 4 weeks as well. So that's the thing. That's why I don't want to. That's why I want to sort of jam up my money on the field in the first 11 so that there's a little bit more maneuverability. That's one of the big reasons why I want to go with either Trent or Gvardiol for sure. Because there's a world in which Trent is just insane, and we could desperately want him game week with Liverpool fixtures. Game week 4 where he has Forest at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away. Like it could be a thing where we just want him. That's why I want to have one spot in defense where I'm spending 6 million plus.
Sure. So you're kind of thinking that Munoz is going to get you over the line and the 3 million you're going to make up for elsewhere. It's not that you're going to see Watkins differently. It's that you're going to have a good enough team to not have him.
And it's also about Munoz. I feel like him at 6 million is better than any 6 million midfielder. Like I feel like he's just a lot more solid. Like minutes are secure. Again, potentially on pens. There's no doubts about him as a pick. Like he's a good pick, objectively, if you take it, because there's Watkins and Kai both, right, in that forward pool. So that's the only reason. But I feel comfortable with Munoz at that price point.
Yeah, because like I would see it more as, yes, I agree he's a good pick at 6, but after the Ipswich game week 3, you're going to look at that fixture run and remember that he plays on Fulham and be like, you know, he has been good value when he played Leicester and Ipswich just then, but now what am I going to be getting from him? You know, and then you're stuck a little bit where you're, you know, really, I think with a player like Munoz, you're really hoping for a 1 in 3 return. And I don't know. I'm like, I had Munoz in for a while, and then I just kind of looked at it and tried to predict, you know, what am I going to want to do? And it would be get rid of this player. So I'm like, let me not start with them. Then, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
But like you reverse that, you flip that story. You don't have Mo at the moment, right?
No.
So like, same thing. Forest and Bournemouth game week 4 and 5. If Mo is the shit, he's getting the bulk of the shots and the XG in that Liverpool team. You want him. So this is where we tell FPL they did a good job because these are difficult decisions and you just need to bloody make them. That's really it. Cause,
no, totally. And, you know, I mean, to me, that came more down to, I don't see myself captaining him in the first, at any of the weeks, really, between Haaland and Isak. And I don't know, I looked at it a little bit, but the replacement value from going Mo to Odegaard for 4 million, you know, I mean, it's more money. Like the Watkins to Munoz, the 3 million, like the way that my team looks without Mo, I think is like, oh yeah, like Mo could be doing great and I'm good, you know. And similar, you know, that's sort of what you're saying a little bit with Watkins. Like Watkins, he's fit, he's going to get points in this really easy run, you know, and, you know, I have to make it up elsewhere.
Yeah. The insurance in my head to this is getting Haaland, Salah, and that 6 million spot and 4-5-4-4. So at least if I'm fucked, like I can maneuver into those picks and I'll know where to spend the money then.
Yeah, for sure. Where are we at?
I
have like one or two. Do you want me to do my last one or two? And then we'll move on to something else. So then I had just the same thing that we kind of say, get the guys you like, right? Like the 4 or 5 defender spots, tough one with this one for me because I like, oh yeah, like Michaelenko, you know, Everton, Dyche, like I fucking hate him. You know, I think he's bad. I'm like, why would I get, you know, it's like, so those spots where it's like not the most detrimental, or like the 6-5 mid, it's like, who do I like? You know, yeah, I like Nkunku, you know, I have reasons why I don't think he's maybe the best game week 1 pick, you know, but sort of just remind, like Odegaard, you know, oh yeah, I love him, like just put him in, you know, and Isak, like love him, put him in, you know, and not with every pick. I'm not doing that with every pick. Like I have Porro. I mean, I'm probably going to have a goalkeeper that I hate, but that's just to reinforce
it. It's difficult to do that with every pick.
Yeah.
Because like IRL doesn't always translate into FPL goodness, like always, right? So it's all right. Like you can't have that with everybody.
You can't.
What might be dangerous is if he hate a player that's actually just a really good FPL pick.
Yeah, been there before.
Yeah, like so that might be like that was me with Mbeumo last year. Fucking hated him and didn't have it at the start of the season. And it was 91st, 93rd, 92.
Yeah, I mean the first handful of months. I mean for me it's usually been like Saka. And I've owned him a lot anyway, but yeah. And then, I mean, last one probably, you know, burying the lead. This is the biggest one is, you know, we talked a lot about just, you know, starting well. And I was really racking my brain, you know, have I ever started well? And I don't think I ever have. Like, I don't think I've ever been at game week 4 or 5 and been like 6-digit rank or like, oh, I'm doing really well. This is great. This started great. I don't think it's ever happened. And, you know, every year I do the same thing, you know, and well, I'm not saying this is like bad, but what you're doing, you're good at this. You're better than me at FPL for sure. And you're like 4-5, 4-0, 4-0. I do that every year. And every year I start badly. So like, why is this going to be like, I'm doing the insanity thing. So I am bench boosting game week 1 and I am triple captaining Haaland game week 2. I'm just doing that. And I just want to see what happens. You know, I want to start well and I want to light the chips on fire because I think that they're almost like Munchausen syndrome. We play the game to the chips anyway. And I want to, like I was saying on the Postmortem, I was like, I wonder what it would be like to be, you know, good at the beginning and, you know, getting free points via chips, even if it doesn't work out and it's 10 points, I'm still going to be doing better than I would be if I didn't. You know, I mean, I'll pay for it in the future, but that could be a problem for future me. Like if this means that I'm 7K and then when people use the chips, I drop down to 12K, like, okay, like I'll see what that's like, but it's just something kind of different. And thinking more about like, we're on the Postmortem just like flippantly saying like this is like fucking stupid ass game with like bad dumb rules and like the bonus point system and price. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I holding on to this? Like I have to do it the way everyone's doing it. That's like EV objection. So I'm just like, I'll just fucking try this thing. You know, I'm going to do it. And also like having the bench boost one team where I have a bench, you know, maybe that's incredible for me. Like it doesn't make me take hits for Ben Chilwell. And, just to see what that's like, because I've never done that. I've never had an eighth attacker game week 1. I've never had, 2 goal of that. I haven't had 2 goalkeepers that play in 7 years, back when that was the thing. So, I'm just like, can give this a go. Give it a go.
And you've got the mystery box in the second half of the season if you need it. You're not
mystery
out of
box.
chips. You got that.
Restore all the chips you've used. Hey. That works.
You're good there. You're good there.
So,
but
I'm
like it for
going
you.
to go for it.
Yeah, I like it for you. Like, one of the reasons being a listener of FPL, why I like it more for you than I would probably like it for Alon, is you're distancing yourself from Twitter and the community, and so Alon tends to look at live FPL and what they're doing, etc. You're sort of far away from that. You're just living in your little Discord bubble, so it won't, like, what everybody is doing might not bother your mental well-being as much as it probably Alon, who's going to look at, okay, this guy's doing this, and he's more in touch with everybody else compared to you. So I don't mind it for you at all.
Yeah.
And I think it might suit your temperament. So I say go for it.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it also does, like, especially with like Rodgers is a big kind of component to this, as I've been playing around with it, that, he's definitely going to start game week 1. And then I definitely have no idea if he's going to be starting any other games, in the near future. I mean, I think he's a baller and I like him. And I did a lot more research after I talked to the Villa guy. I mean, he said, trust me, and I trust him. I trust that guy. Never met him before. Yeah. Loved him. Luke. I mean, that was very influential. But Barco too, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with him when Purvis is back. And, the Everton Goodison fixture isn't great, but he's going to start.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible, and he's going to start. And so I'm not spending too much extra. The extra 0.5 on keeper, I'll have 2 4-5s there is, I'll be rotating, so that I'm not sure yet. And, having a 4th 4-5 defender. But, so I don't know. But yeah, I have to talk this over with Alon more and kind of play more with different picks. But that was another one from the postmortem that I hadn't really thought of. And
like, the only problem that I have with like a game week 1 bench boost is it just feels like we don't know much. Like, that's the only thing. Like, it's a shot in the dark in terms of we're guessing. Yeah, we're guessing the most in game week 1 compared to game week 5, compared to game week 15. Like, that's the thing that I don't like. And I feel like maybe we're guessing even more. Like, we're 10, 15 days away, and I feel like this year there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Like Liverpool and Chelsea and Brighton, 3 new managers, pretty important FPL players. We don't know outside of Salah who's going to be playing in the front 3. Like, it's just information. You're not going to play those chips in game week 1, and just make sure you're relying on the things that we know. Like, if you're doing that game week 1.
And we have the least amount of information, and also I don't think that matters for bench boost, because what is bench boost? You're playing your 2 worst defenders, your second keeper, and your 8th attacker. So knowing if Liverpool are good, that doesn't affect bench boost, I mean, none of those players are ever going to be Liverpool. They're not going to be on Chelsea, So, I know the minutes. No, I don't know the good fixtures, but I know the minutes. And again, I think the overrating of these chips is so absurd. Like, if I get 8 points and that's a failed bench boost, and it will be less than if maybe you wait until your team value is 104 and you can, line it up just this way to have this. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The 8 points is more valuable to me game week 1 than if I'm 200K to maybe go to 182K. Because I also want like that playing into like my psychological approach to I'm doing well, like how will this affect? And so, I've kind of thought that through and, just to try it. And it's also, obviously like an experiment, really just for science to see, to see how it goes. And, the way I see it, right, I have the 4 players on the bench. If I get 1 return from those 4 players, I'll be happy. And if I get 2, it's amazing. So, can I spike 1 clean sheet in 3? I hope so. I might not. You might get none. Is Rodgers going to score points against West Ham? I hope so. Might not. But worst case, I get 8 points. And then the hidden cost, like we've talked about repeatedly about bench boosts, is setting up for it is a cost, right? Like looking at, you know, 100%. I'm going to bench boost in 5 game weeks, so I'm going to do this move now and that move here. It's like, you could be leaving so many points that you can't even see, right? Because you're doing these transfers for this 1 game week to play your worst players once. So, you know, because that's the other aspect of like, well, your team value is higher, you get better players than it, like, and so that's kind of managing that. So bench boost, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the optimal way of bench boosting, and I kind of can see that. I don't know, to see how it goes.
I don't mind it at all.
Yeah,
I think go for it. But why do you have to? Like Haaland could have Southampton at home and United away in a double game week. Like why does the triple captaincy chip have to be used? Because you want to be ahead and you want to see how that psychologically affects.
Yeah, he could be hurt.
Yeah,
and then I have to triple captain. You get 1 extra player, like all year. You get 1 or maybe 2. You know, if they play 90 both games, which we've been there before, right? So I'm just like, I don't care about that. You know, I mean, me picking Van de Ven and hitting on that instead of picking Anthony Robinson is maybe more valuable than the triple. Like, there's so many decisions that, like, it's just like, it doesn't really matter that much to me. And there's some free points. I'm just like, I just want to start well. So I'm just like, I just want to start well, you know?
I value the triple captaincy chip a little more than you. It's only because of the experiences that I've had. Like, I've used it twice on Aguero when the world didn't fancy him. And so how we do the insurance, not captain the popular player, but own him. And then triple captain the less owned players. It's like that thing on steroids for 1 week when you got 2 pots at the cherry. So like it was a mini league where I played with like my main rival, and he was 50 points ahead of me, game week 32. And he triple captained the chalk and I went Aguero and I flipped that in 1 game week. So like, I always feel like this might be worthy if there is an opportunity that we see that comes later, if there is a player, and there are enough players I feel like now in the league that might be worth taking a shot at. Like outside of Haaland and Salah, there's Isak, there's Palmer, there's not Saka, but these 4 players exist at the moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and look, I mean, you can hit 25 points on the chip, right? And hitting a 25-point bench boost is obscene. Like you would have to be the luckiest luck sack in luck land to do that. Captain. Yeah, bench so I mean, triple captain's definitely a more valuable chip. And, you know, there's also, like you're saying, like there are always players. And also, you know, it's late in the season, 2 days off. These are teams that are going to be in Champions League. Like how many minutes are they going to play? You know, then there are the 2 times that you're not remembering because you got 3 points from it. And you're like, that was fun. You know, my guy played 100 minutes and didn't do anything. You know, I mean, you're looking at, so I mean,
my guy played 11 minutes. I had Mane, triple captain.
Got
injured in the first game.
So it's like the up and down.
And Darwin last year. Got that goal. I triple captain Darwin last year. He scored that goal and then he didn't come in the second half. I'm like, what? Yeah, so that
5 points. 5 points. That happens too. So, but no, I'm not trying to diminish the value or trying to equate the value of the triple captain of the bench boost. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, I don't think that this I don't think is optimal or smart at all. You know, but with bench boost, I think that could be that might be. Yeah.
And if you want to do the social experiment, you want to be ahead and then see where you are from that in terms of how you're just playing the season. That's it. Yeah, makes
or
sense.
I won't. I mean, I could do this and just be 700K. I didn't have Mo.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, that didn't work. You know, Mo got 40 points and I don't have him, you know, and I'm down here because the 20% of people that don't know or, you know, that whatever. So
700K is not a bad place to be after game week 1. Like whether you use a bench boost or not, I feel like it's just a good place to start.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about 4 or 5 defenders. I mean, we're going to be doing that one in a couple of days, but where are there any standouts to you? Like where I'm sure, you know, I know you're not really playing in that pool, but is there anybody?
Like, the good one is Henderson, but we are getting Munoz and I don't fancy double up because I fancy Hendo too. The thing about Mykolenko is I want to know who's fit at Everton at the moment, like because none of them have been playing. And it's like
literally
in my head. have been playing. So what's up there? Like that's one thing, and I wonder if Onana going has like sort of like a trickle ball effect there. And what's up with Brandt? Is he moving? Not moving? I don't think he's injured, but I just don't think he's playing at the moment. Like I think something's up there. So I want to see what sort of happens there. Because if Michael Keane's playing, I'm not interested.
No.
Like that's the thing. So that's the thing with Everton. I feel like Burns a trap too. I don't like that pick. Even Licha, at the moment we don't have a defensive midfielder, so I'm not confident about that too. But it could work for you if you're bench boosting game week 1. Like I feel like that's an okay sort of bet to make.
Yeah.
Van de Ven,
I mean, it's just, I can't possibly go with him if I have Porro already. It's so difficult because I keep, like, there's Konsa.
Konsa's good. Konsa's the best, actually.
Yeah. Dunk, I think, is a great pick. Palace, we have 4 or 5 options. Anthony Robinson, I think, is his name's in the ring.
If you're going Porro, then I think Konsa's the one. Just like go with the better team who's got the fixtures.
And I can't because I would have to go down for Maatsen, which I might do. I might do that.
Yeah. And
then
Murillo.
Also the NFO guys are all 4 or 5.
Yeah. Murillo. Like when I was sort of rotating too, it was Konsa and Murillo when I was playing with the 2 4.5 spots. Those were the 2 I was looking at.
Or Aina. Aina's good.
Yeah, or Aina.
Yeah, Murillo's
I don't like Fulham.
A little bit more
I don't like Robinson because I feel like it's just not Paulinho. It's also Dawson that they've lost. So there's a lot of changes happening in the back 5 that I don't like.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But you're not playing in that bracket, really.
I could be. I don't know, right? Like I have 4 or 5 picks at the moment, so I don't know at the moment. I don't think Maatsen's nailed on. Like that Maatsen spot could be 2 4.5s if I wanted to like to spread it a little. So that's where we are.
Yeah. I'm playing with that idea too, because then I would be looking at having 3 4 5s for 1 spot, which feels like not somewhere I'm going to need to spend a transfer, especially if it's like Murillo, Dunk, and Konsa. Like, unless if they get hurt, right? I mean, I could start 2 of them in a pinch. Like, maybe that's better than having Barco with the chance that he might not be playing in, a couple games.
I think he's playing. I think he's good. I don't see a world in which he's not playing now. S2 is hurt, so who's going to play?
When's he going to be back, though? Isn't he coming back kind of soon? Is he out for a while?
September, I heard.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Barco is he's been taking corners, which is fucking huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we always talk about that, like defenders that are on set pieces, and like everything I keep seeing with Hertzler is like he's, unlike De Zerbi, actually fucking loves the set pieces. So that's different.
Yeah. And if he's legit, like I feel like it's just a punt that you sort of have to take, because if he's legit, let's say he gets an assist and a clean sheet game week 1, he's turning 4.5 before anybody else, because that's where the people go. So, and I don't think the downside's that much. Like, okay, he's a 4 million defender that you push away as your last asset if it doesn't work out until you wildcard. So I don't think that's too much of an issue. I think I agree. It's too obvious to not punt on.
Yeah, no, I agree. Barco feels pretty obvious. Probably should be in every team.
What do you think about Kamada? Because if I'm going Trent, then I need to shift that 6.5 million midfielder down to 5.5. And I like Kamada the most. Honestly, I like him the most out of everybody.
I love him. I mean, Alana and I had him in our fantasy World Cup team because we love him. I feel like for FPL though, he might be just a little bit lightweight in that he's going to have no problem earning 5.5. But as we've, Alana and I have talked about, is I feel like the game's sort of passed that by where earning 5.5 is not good enough anymore. So like we're talking about places to punt, I mean, for me with him, like I don't think the shot numbers are going to be that good. I think his role is going to probably be a little more Swiss Army knife. He might be playing forward until Sarr gets up to speed, and then he might, move around a little bit. I just don't know. I feel like he's a 1 in 3 guy, right? Where he's going to be okay, but that's it. Like I think Minta's being overlooked like dramatically in terms of this pick. Like that's where I would want to really like punt, because the worst case is he's not starting after 4 games. And the best case is he had 40 points in 4 games because he has brace potential. Like Kamada does not really have double return potential that I can see. And like when like you're talking about Barco, like what's the, he doesn't do well. That's why we usually do get burned though at this 5-5 mid spot where it's like you make the wrong pick. They go down 0.1 after 2 weeks because they blank twice, and then you can't get anybody. And you have no...
That's the thing, right?
Yeah. So Kamada does have more safety, like, I think, in that context.
A higher floor. And I think that's in congruence with the minutes thing we spoke about, where the trickle-down effect of having too many mintas in your team is then you're focused towards figuring this problem out and solving this problem.
Whereas for you, that's a game week 3 wild card.
Yeah. But like, I'm just talking bigger picture anyway. Because these are the kind of picks that we fall for all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas Kamada is somebody you're never going to see as a problem that you need to solve right now. And then I'll let him be and I'll figure out where the bigger points gain is at the moment because he's a good, solid, going to play every game kind of pick.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I think like sometimes you maybe need to go for the MGWs and the Kamadas of the world just to like play better FPL, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think if you're a wild card, but that's the thing is this isn't a heuristic, right? If you're wild card in game week 5 and no 5-5 has emerged as, an Amares, then, and Kamada's, going to keep, then you're like, okay, like that's when, but if you start with Minta, when you have your wild card available and BJ and Jota, like, okay, this is the play I'm making. And after 2 game weeks, if all 3 of them are good, I'm fucking killing everybody. If 2 of them are good, I'm using a transfer. If one of them's good, I'm probably wild carding. And that's fine. That's fair too.
But I just don't, like, I feel like 3 is early too, right? Like, I'd much rather wildcard 5 when there's enough information. I feel like I can't read the game that early. Like, it's a little bit of a chaotic wildcard if you're setting up your team for 20 game weeks. Like, that's the thing. Like, there needs to be some bit of enough information. And also, it's like I feel like we need to go for these really punty picks if there isn't a good floor pick at that price. Like, if Gordon's starting game week 1, there is no real reason to go Jota. Like that's the sort of debate that is bad. Like in my notes, I'm like minutes because we keep losing because of punty Dokus and Jota. That's what I've written. And number 2 is allow yourself 1 if you want to indulge. Like that's the thinking.
Number 2 is get Jota. I wanted to ask you about Ahmad. He's getting some helium and playing, and what do you see? Is that going to just be a rotation nightmare, or he's just playing him because it's preseason? Or
he'll get minutes, but he's not a pick at the moment. Like Garnacho exists.
Yeah, Rashford exists. That's like he's just going to be below down in the pecking order.
He's making a case to be above them, but then it turns into that entire performance-dependent thing, early subs. If he has one shitter against actual Premier League caliber opposition in the league, then Garnacho comes and it's not a show. Like, if he sustains it for first 3 or 4 weeks, then jump on him game week 5. We don't need to be early.
Yeah,
United are not like a free-scoring team that's going to get you 3 or 4 goals every game anyway.
Far from it.
Yeah,
far from it. Yeah. What is your read on the Morgan Rogers situation?
I think he's a good punt for game week 1.
Are you looking at him?
Yeah. If I go Trent instead of Guard, I need to look at him.
All right. Needs must.
Yeah. Needs must. I don't mind it.
Yeah. What do you think about Gvard? Go ahead. Sorry.
When I was talking to Sof and Truss, and they were like, I don't see Rogers as a preseason form pick. Like, when I was watching Villa last year, like, there were mental notes in my head. And I'm like, I need to watch out for this guy next year because I rated him and I liked what he was doing. And he was playing second striker. So it's playing 1/3 of a season against Premier League opposition and doing well. And Emery not dropping him in that third of the season and having good form in preseason. So I think it's like 2 things that are in his favor. So I like him as a pick.
And, it's not really been linked, or maybe it has in the Villa world, but getting rid of Diaby is maybe just an enormous vote of confidence in Rodgers, right?
But like Felix, right? So Rogers is Felix dependent.
Who knows though? Like that's such bullshit to me. Like,
no. So you just got to see what Ornstein and Fabrizio say before 15th August, and if they're saying nothing, then go there.
No, I mean, if they get Felix, forget it. You know, that's done. I mean, absolutely forget it. I just can't see that actually getting over the line, the way that their squad looks and, you know, how things are going. But you never know. I wanted to ask you about Gvard, though. I mean, I'm kind of two minds with him of, like, you know, is he an attacking monster or is he going to be, you know, not playing striker left wing because Pep does something? Like, you're happy to just see him as safe, could do that again, even if he doesn't, he's still an okay pick.
Yeah, safe, could do that again, still an okay pick. Even if he isn't, I think he's a decent set piece threat anyway. He plays on City, who's got the most control in the league, and hopefully don't concede one goal 3 games in a row at the start of the season.
They love doing that.
So like his floor is high. And if it doesn't work out, Trent's sitting there for 1 million more game week 4. Like that's the thinking about Gvard.
Gvard. All right. It's getting late over there for you. Anything else you want to touch on? I'm seeing we're a little over an hour.
I'm good.
Any other picks? Any other guys? Team? We're good?
I'm good.
Feeling good about this year?
FPL, yeah, man. I'm chilled out. I'm relaxed. Like I told you, I'm detaching myself from doing well. And I know how I like to play the game and how I enjoy playing the game, which involves like picking players like Munoz, right? Like I flirted for a year with review and didn't really enjoy it. And I realized it's not my thing. And I like trying to solve this based on the football. And I'm like alone. I'm connected to the guys who tell me who the good review picks are anyway. Maybe use that as a sanity check, but I like playing based on the football and I'm good that way. So I'm I'm pretty relaxed about it. Like if I suck, I suck. I've had 2 seasons outside of 100K now. So I'm all right, man. It's all good. Like shit happens.
There's plenty of room in the pool, in my pool over here for you there, man. We got plenty of space.
I'm setting such high goals for myself, right? So how this works is I'm almost allowing myself to be a little bit crazy because I've got like 2 finishes in the top 100. So I'm like, my entire FPL goal in the career of FPL is to get the third one. And then retire.
Okay. And then retire. I hope you never
get
it.
Right? Then I'm done. Like I've solved FPL. I've come close to winning the thing thrice. And then fuck it. That's it.
Yeah. You sail off into the sunset.
Yeah.
How's everything going with the Wire?
Wire's good, man.
Good. You guys have your rhythm, the 3 of you. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. It's something I look forward to every week because so Zoff and I during the COVID, we used to talk football almost every day because there's nothing to do. Literally nothing to do anyway. So we used to talk football anyway. So this sort of transgressed into doing a podcast, so it felt sort of natural.
Yeah, and none of you 3 live nearby, right?
No, not met Zoff in real life once.
No, where's Praz?
Praz
in the
is
world?
In
London. And where is Zoff?
Zoff's Chennai. He's like a 2-hour, 3-hour flight away from me. Been very
India.
In India.
In India. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dog.
All right, man.
Well, pleasure as always.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure
Good
as
luck
always.
with the bench boost game week 1. I hope you do it, and I hope it comes through because it'd be nice to see.
I hope it comes through.
Yeah. It'll come through. It'll come through, man.
All right, babe.
All right, man.
I'll talk to you next year.
All right. Take care, man. Bye-bye.